It's RantDay today, or Monday, depends on how you see it. Anyway, this day is a day that is the day where the resting days end for a lot of people and it's back to the weekdays of a harsh reality. And what better way to start that day is there than with a passionate RantDay to get that extra little RantDay spirit that you need to pop back into the days of reality. This show is highly opinion-based and made in order to talk about and get focused on things that I believe are heading in the wrong direction, and or just needs a push in the right direction. I will base my opinions on things I've heard, read, or seen throughout my life as a gamer. If a fact is wrong, I apologize in advance. Today's subject: FPS games, or the future of FPS games. The first-person shooter genre has been dear for me for a very long time. I remember tricking my mom into buying Duke Nukem 3D when I was like, I don't know, 10? Or at least I think I tricked her, since I said it was like Doom 1 and 2. And she had no trouble with me playing those games. If she actually knew that there were pixelated nude strippers and that you could throw money at them, she probably would have thought twice before giving it to me. But I'm glad I got to play all these early and old FPS games, because they laid a foundation for other games to stand on. And that foundation has helped us to get games that we have today. And you can argue over if it's good for us to play these games that simulate the killings of others or not, but I have grown up with these games, and that's just it. I've always, even when I was 10 and playing Duke Nukem, seen these games as just games. I gotta say that if anything that influenced me more to get an early interest into weapons and all that kind of stuff, which I really had when I was a kid, it was movies, not video games. And the major difference between them is how you describe them. A game is a game, whether it's a really realistic looking one or not, it's still a game. And for most FPS games, it's about the sport of proving to be the best and topping the scoreboard more than the simulation of killing someone else. I would say it's more similar to the feeling of paintball than anything else. Today we have a couple of games that dominate the FPS scene in its popularity. We have Counter-Strike Global Offensive, the Call of Duty series, and we have the Battlefield franchise. Now, right now, these three are the ones who dominate in popularity. And that is understandable. They are really good games that speak to a different kind of crowd. Counter-Strike Global Offensive has the hardcore competitive aspect with the really addictive skin system with weapon skins that sell for a crazy amount of money. A couple of $100 and more for weapon skins in a game, and people are actually buying them, which is even more crazy if you ask me, but it's really addictive. I've been there, and I fall back into the skin trading every once in a while as well, even though I don't even play the game. Then we have the latest Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare, with this fast-paced, quick-to-kill gameplay that speaks more to the casual gamer, I think, that just wants to get into the action and play fast and hard and try to top the scoreboard. I also think that Call of Duty is dominating the console side of things more than any other FPS game. And this franchise has delivered some great titles that have brought me a lot of fun over the years. And last we have Battlefield with its latest installment, Hardline. And Battlefield is always aimed for bigger and sexier. Cars, tanks, jets, helicopters, big explosions with huge Levolution events with skyscrapers and buildings collapsing and creating different landscapes on one and the same map. And a tactical shooter with a more realistic approach than the other two. And at the moment, I think this is one of my favorite of them all. I usually just switch back and forth depending on what I feel like, but for the most recent time, I gotta say that Battlefield feels better for me, at least, with a slower pacing than what Call of Duty has, for example. Maybe it's just age coming up to me, but I just can't stay as focused on a Call of Duty game as I can in a Battlefield game. And whichever speaks to you, it does not really matter. They are really cool games and franchises that are probably going to stay here and dominate the market for a very long time. But alright, here's what I'm curious about. What are these games going towards next? I have a hard time thinking about what these game franchises could do next other than just switching up the landscapes and the weapons again. What are they going to deliver to make it all feel fresh? and new and exciting. Because let's be totally honest here, people, even though we are giving new content all the time, it's not that different from the last thing we got. It may be a little bit prettier and a little bit smoother, but in the end I think companies that make first-person shooter games need to start to invent instead of innovate, if they want to keep this as interesting as possible in the long run. Now, we have seen some huge developments in the areas of virtual reality lately, and I believe this could be a pointer towards where we are going next with the first-person shooter genre. The Htc Vive virtual reality headset looks interesting, and the Oculus Rift has been on a lot of people's minds for the last years. We have seen PewDiePie and a lot of other YouTubers make really cool videos and playing interesting games with the Oculus, and yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Also, we have the Virtuix Omni, I think it's called. It's an interesting device that lets you walk in a game with your own legs instead of using a keyboard and or a controller. So, all of these devices look really cool, but you usually need to pay a couple of extra $100 if you want to have these really flashy devices. And that's just it. They're mainly just flashy. I doubt these devices will go mainstream and feel a need for the average gamer. Don't get me wrong, I want all of these devices. They are really cool. They're really cool and I really want them, but ask yourself, do you want to buy a virtual reality headset and a huge device that lets you walk around in a game with your own legs instead of a controller for like, I don't know, if you buy 2 of them, I think you need to pay like $1,000, and that's like a new computer for just those 2 gadgets. So I don't know. If I had a crazy amount of money, I probably would buy these, but if I had enough money to easily afford them, but not excessive amount of money, I probably would go for like upgrading my computer or buying a couple of new games or controllers from a console or whatever. Maybe I would try one of these things out, but not all of them. If I had a normal salary, like I do, I probably would not. But that's just me. Maybe you think these devices are really cool and you just need to have them. I do think that this is a little bit early in the development for these devices, but it's heading in the right direction. I think these devices are a little bit too expensive as well. I just don't hope that this development stops, because the potential of all this is a childhood dream of mine. Playing video games using all of my body to walk around, it could be so awesome. We're not talking about how Nintendo did it with the Wii and the Wii U here. We're talking about full immersion into an actual game. Maybe soon we can have virtual reality rooms like the one they have on Star Trek. Now that would be something. And it could really take the first-person shooter genre into the next level. Working towards super realism with graphics and physics might be the next step as well, but right now I think that hardware-wise we are not that far away from that. I just think that the right ideas need to be thought of in order for the next step to see the light of day. But I gotta say that this is a hard nut to crack. But it's a nut that I want cracked ASAP. So, what do you think is the future of first-person shooting gaming? That's a weird sentence, first-person shooting gaming. First-person shooting games, I think is better. Is it VR headsets or walking devices? Is it something else? Are you still pleased with being delivered almost the same experience over and over with a prettier package? Let me know in a comment below. You are also more than welcome to leave suggestions about what I should rant about next down in the wonderful land of comments below. I always welcome extra help. Leave a like and a share to not be a square. And until next time.